It's time for love. It's time for your love coach. Let's find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach. First off, Happy New Year, everybody. We made it to 2021. Yes! You know, I think there were times we weren't all sure we were going to make it, but we did. We made it. Yes! And, you know, we're thinking maybe it's a time to reflect in some ways, but also to look forward and to see how we can maybe adjust our perspective a bit and find out how we can look in a brighter, more positive way into 2021. What do you think, Diane? Does that sound good?
You bet. I believe that we need a new perspective for the new year, and that we can create it by the small choices we make every day.
Oh, I like that. I've got Diane Dreher with me today, and she's been with me before, and I'm very, very pleased to have you back. Now, over the weekend, I was catching up on newsletters that were in my email because I was way, way, way behind. I was delinquent, and I took a couple days off. And I saw in the subject line of my email, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. And I'm like, I love that, because my thing is, if there's a problem, do something to fix it. Don't fuss about it, because that just upsets you and everybody else. So I love this. So I said, I've got to look at that. Plus I saw it was your newsletter, so that grabbed my attention and made me twice as excited to read it. So tell us about that proverb. I really, really like that.
Well, I study the Tao Te Ching and Chinese philosophy, among other things, and this is an old Chinese proverb that we don't know where it came from. It's so old. It seems to be very appropriate right now because we are in the season of darkness, literally winter. The days are shorter, the nights are longer. So, and that actually the days get a little bit longer after the winter solstice, which was December 21st. But we're in the middle of the darkness, seasonally, and we're in the middle of a lot of darkness because of COVID, because of all the restrictions, because of all the commotion going on in the news. So better to light a candle.
You know what cracks me up is people don't seem to start complaining about the days being shorter until after winter gets here. And actually, after December 21st, they start getting longer. But they feel like they're shorter. You notice that? Yeah, especially after the holidays. Like right now, what is there, to celebrate? We've had our holidays, and then there's just a sense that we've got to slog through this dark winter time. It snows some places, it rains other places. The weather is not conducive to going outside and having a picnic. So the only people I know who seem to enjoy this time of year are my friends Barbara and Carl, who got married on December 21st. And I said, oh my, that's the longest night of the year. There you go.
So, you can make the most of the season of darkness. These are our choices. So on December 21st every year, I think of my friends who now live on the East Coast. I live in California. But, it's our attitude that makes the difference.
It is.
It can light up the darkness.
Definitely. Well, it's okay. We're a few days into the new year now, and so far we've we've had one day of total bright sunshine here on the East Coast. And I'm like, alrighty. but see, I'm the kind of, I admit that I'm unusual, and I like it that way. But I like to see a rainy, cloudy, foggy day as full of atmosphere. And I love those kind of days at the beach. If I go to the beach and it's sunny the entire time, I'm irritated because I love rainy, foggy days at the beach because, like I said, it's so much awesome atmosphere and you can get really awesome pictures. So I am excited when I wake up and it's super foggy and you get really awesome pictures and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I like those kind of days. I mean, I don't want them all the time. I don't want the same anything all the time. But yeah, it's been interesting so far. But I was thinking, well, maybe Mother Nature's hung over and she just hasn't, gotten over it yet. So who knows?
Well, Mother Nature and a lot of human beings at this point, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I woke up on New Year's Day going, okay, Mother Nature had a little too much last night.
Well, you would like it out here. It's actually foggy and rainy as we speak in California. So we've got lots. I love that. We've got lots of atmosphere.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah. I mean, again, if we name it, we can claim it. It belongs to us. It makes it real, and we can grasp it and embrace it. So I love your idea of atmosphere. Again,
it is.
Attitudes and choices.
There you go. Like I said, it works. It works.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got awesome fog pictures. It works.
Yeah. And to say, okay, instead of what we don't have, which is sunshine, what do we have, and what can we do with it? And traditionally in the season of winter, people light candles. People have managed to light bonfires, Yule logs, Hanukkah candles. When I lived in Germany, it seems unsafe, but they were very careful. They put candles on their Christmas trees on Christmas Eve, and it was absolutely beautiful. And they didn't leave the room. They watched them and sang beautiful Christmas carols, etc. It was a ritual, of lighting candles. And so every night at dinner now, I light a candle, to just affirm the light and to pause for a moment of gratitude in this dark season. And what was really interesting this year is that on December 21st or thereabouts, there was this rare conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. These two planets came so close together that they looked like a single star from some vistas, some places. And this happens only once every 800 years. So in the middle of all this darkness, the heavens have provided us with a burst of light, which looked like the Christmas star that the wise men followed to Bethlehem. That rare conjunction of these two planets. So I figured that we're getting help, from the heavens, and we need to do our part.
Well, I think too often people want everything done for us, and my theory is our life is what we make of it. We've been put here, okay? We were born. Our parents did their share to put us here, and you can believe in God, a spirit, or not. It's each person's choice. I don't think it's a choice, but a lot of people do. But what you do once you're born and you're here, it's up to us. It's what we make of it. We've been given life. We've been given the opportunity to be here, and we can either just kind of let it go and say, I expect everybody else to give me and do for me and all that sort of thing, or I'm going to do the most I can to make the best of it, or not. What do you think?
Absolutely. What a beautiful insight. If we expect everyone in the world to give us what we need, we're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a recipe for disaster and depression, in my opinion. If we take charge and do something, we can make a difference. I mean, but there's something, we get into the habit, I guess, of shaming and blaming and complaining when something doesn't meet our needs. So that, and that doesn't help us. We're stuck in the darkness if we just complain and why is this happening to me? I expected better. Well, okay, what can you do to make it better? What small step? What small action? What choice how can we light a candle instead of stand there and curse the darkness? Because cursing the darkness is not going to make the darkness go away. But turning on the light or lighting a candle is going to make a big difference.
The funny thing is, I don't know anybody that was in my life in, say, the first 20, 25 years that would have created the life I would have been happy with. I mean, I'm looking back, and what all of those people wanted for my life is certainly not where I'm at now. And they're making very clear now that they're not happy with what I've done with my life, and I'm very happy where I am. They're not happy with it, but that's their problem, So
other people don't know the dreams in our hearts. They can't. And we're the only ones that know the dreams in our hearts, and it's up to us then to take action to make those dreams come true. I had a similar childhood, and my parents apparently, I will not take a long autobiographical digression, but they didn't really want me to go away to college, and I wanted to go away to college. I applied to UCLA, and they told me, as I was packing up, I'd been accepted. This was years ago when tuition wasn't very high. We can't afford it, said my mother, so you're going to have to go to the local college. And I thought, oh my goodness, they must be having financial problems. This was September. In December that year, my mother got a new Mercedes and a mink coat for Christmas. So I concluded that they were really not having financial problems. They just didn't understand the dream in my heart. So I went and got a job at the local newspaper and moved out, supported myself, paid for my college education, and declared my independence. And I've been, that was one of the best things I ever did, was saying, instead of feeling stuck and complaining, which would have gotten me nowhere, I got a job which got me somewhere that I wanted to go. We have to take positive action instead of just being stuck and discontent with the status quo. And other people can't know the dreams in our hearts. We can. And as Abraham Maslow would say, we're responsible for following our dreams.
I'm thinking about the people I know that have been handed things, and there's quite a few of them that I know very well personally, and they're not happy.
Because I know some people like that too, and I teach at a university, and the students who have everything given to them before they even ask, whose parents are paying for everything, a lot of these students are very frustrated, very unhappy. Their parents even choose their majors for them. Which again, they may not fit the poor student, but the parents, you must be an accountant, this will get you a good job. And the student wants to be an artist. So they have things given to them, which are like some of the presents we used to get as children, the clothes we got, they don't fit. Somebody else's gift to us may not fit us,
Right.
somebody else's idea of how we should live our lives. And if we wear something that doesn't fit, it's going to be uncomfortable. Whereas if we find something that fits us and reach out and embrace it, we're living with a sense of agency. We're living authentically about who we are. And, even though we're going to have challenges and struggles, we're living our own lives, not somebody else's idea of what our life should be.
Exactly. I hadn't counted on going there, but yeah, you never know. You never know what direction things are going to take.
No, exactly. And there are things we can do, little choices that we can make that make all the difference. I mean, Viktor Frankl was inspired to write his book about the search for meaning when he was in a concentration camp. And he realized that he didn't have much choice about the living conditions. They were abysmal.
Yeah.
but what he did have a choice about was not the external situation, but his response to it. We always have a choice about how we can act in a given situation.
Oh, yeah.
And he noticed the people who had a sense of meaning, who found something beyond just complaining about the food, the living conditions, if they could affirm something, claim something, stay in touch with their dreams, they survived. Whereas the people who gave up and all they did was complain, they lost hope, their immune systems broke down, and they died. So we need hope to stay vibrant, to stay healthy. And we need to choose, what is meaningful for us each day. And we can do little things that make a difference in our lives, but also other people's lives.
Well, and that doesn't mean that you deny the circumstances, because,
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously he was in a concentration camp. That, you can't ignore that.
No, he absolutely couldn't ignore it. But one day, again, people would be complaining about the living conditions in a concentration camp. One day there was this beautiful sunset, and Viktor Frankl and some of his friends rushed out and looked at it, and they were so entranced by the beauty of the sunset that for a moment, all their pain, all their anguish disappeared, and they felt renewed hope. And then, of course, they were back in the concentration camp, but they had hope. They had the light of hope to guide them.
Right. Well, you can be in a horrible situation, but there's something bigger than you. There's something outside of where you are, and you're reminded that there is something else. There is something bigger, and I don't know. I've had little moments like that, even when I've been in the hospital and have been in horrible, in a lot of pain, or things are I'm having a really, really hard time doing what the doctor wants me to do, or that kind of thing, and have a little glimmer of something, and it's like, okay, all right, this is temporary. Or I know I was in a room for like 2.5 weeks that just, the view was okay, but then they moved me into another room where I had a beautiful view of the mountains, and I love my mountains, I really do. And it was like, okay, soon I'm going to be back out there. I'm going to be able to see my mountains again soon, And it just helped. It just did.
Oh, yeah. That's what a beautiful example. There's a study done years ago by Roger Ulrich about patients in a hospital, and they had abdominal surgery. They had the same doctors, the same nurses, the same hospital food. Only on one side of the hallway, the patients looked out at a brick wall outside their window. And the other side, they looked out at trees and at nature. And the patients who had the view of trees outside their window needed less pain medication, recovered sooner, were released from the hospital earlier with fewer complications than the people, and everything else was the same. Why? Because nature makes us feel that we're connected to something larger than ourselves. It restores our hope and our faith. There it is.
Yeah,
Connection to something larger than ourselves is very, very healing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and a lot of people these days are feeling stuck at home, isolated. And even if their living conditions are better than Viktor Frankl's, obviously, they're living in a nice house. They're not in a concentration camp, but they still feel stuck. They're complaining. They can't see their friends, and they can't see their coworkers. They can't go to the movies. If we're looking at all the things we cannot do, we're not going to be happy. And we're looking at the darkness. If they just would go outside and take a walk with a mask on, properly socially distanced, around their neighborhood, in a park, stand out in their yard and look up at the sky, to recognize that we are connected with nature. We're part of nature. And from that has come inspiration for centuries of poets and philosophers.
Well, and like I said, you're that's like we're under a stay-at-home order here in Virginia, and do not go outside after midnight to 5 a.m. that kind of thing. And I'm actually expecting him to do something again this week because the numbers shot up over the weekend. But at least go outside, get some fresh air. Spend some time outside in your yard if you want to. I know when it first got bad around March, April, that kind of thing, I made a point of not going into stores just because, I had just finished cancer treatment, and, my doctors were like, don't go with anybody. But, I've got a couple of stores I go to that have almost no customers, that kind of thing. So it's been nice to be around some people other than just doctor's appointments, So find something that you can do, even if you're around almost no one, to at least see some people somewhere, because it makes a difference to see someone. And the thing is, pretty much everybody has a computer, at least call people, interact with them on the phone, do something with like Zoom or Skype, Facebook Messenger. We've got that where you can do video calls. We need to be interacting with people.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Even before the COVID pandemic, there was an epidemic of loneliness in the United States. The psychologists were very worried about this because loneliness is very bad for our health. We human beings need connections with other people, and when we don't have them, we get depressed. Our immune system breaks down. It's not good for us physically or emotionally. And now with COVID, good gosh, I haven't even looked at the statistics on loneliness, but all of my friends who are therapists have all their practices are filled with people who are depressed and lonely, because they're suffering. So we can just say, oh, this is a terrible time. I'm feeling lonely. I'm so isolated. Or, as you say, we're going to have to make an effort to reach out. In the old days, before COVID, we saw people when we went to the grocery store, when we went to work, if we commuted to work. We interacted with people just by virtue of the fact that we were living in a world where we have neighborhoods, we have shopping malls, we saw people. Now we have to make an effort to connect with people. It doesn't just happen naturally anymore. So, but, what's the possibility of, again, how can I bring greater light into my life and into the lives of the people around me by connecting? I walk my dog around the neighborhood with a mask. For me, the dog doesn't wear one. And when I see my neighbors, they have their masks on. We wave and greet each other. And there was this really nice interaction that I had where the neighbors had just pulled up in their car. And I said, oh, I love your Christmas decorations. They were little Christmas elves cavorting on their yard. And they said, "Oh, you can tell they're elves. We made them. They're very special." And we connected on a level of heart just by my giving them a compliment, and they're acknowledging the compliment, and the energy between us was just beautiful. There's a psychologist, Barbara Fredrickson, who has done all this research on what she calls micro moments of connectivity. That when we greet someone, and you can't tell if we're smiling now because we're all wearing masks, but we can wave, we can say something, and just a kind word, an acknowledgement. The energy that flows between us when we do that is healing for both people. To give is to receive. So we can make ourselves feel better by reaching out with these micro moments, just waving at somebody. If we're at the pharmacy, we can actually treat the person behind the counter as a human being and say something, whatever, other than just, here's my credit card. That's something that we can do. It doesn't take much time, but it makes a huge difference. And research has shown that when we do that kindness is contagious, so that the person who receives our act of kindness and connectivity is more apt to share that spirit with somebody else. And then there are going to be all kinds of little lights filling up the darkness, and people will feel better all throughout our community.
That's a good contagion. We want to spread that contagion.
we need to spread. There is the darkness, a contagion, and then there is the contagion of light, where kindness creates more kindness, and there are studies that show that.
I like how you said to treat other people well. I've noticed how so many people, they're taking this whole social distancing and keep your distance from people, and they're taking it to be uncivil to other people kind of route with it, and I think it stands out because I wasn't out and about for a couple months, and so then people and things had changed so much within that couple months, and then I had a couple doctor's appointments, and I scheduled my stuff at UVA. I have to go like 30 miles over the mountains to go over, and so I usually do like 4 or 5 appointments. I book the whole day right while I'm over there.
Yeah, make the most of it.
If I gotta go, I'm going to do all my appointments with everybody, and it's my 2 specialists are like right across the street from each other, so I just do everything while I'm there. And I love to people watch, right? I get more character ideas by people watching. So I was there, and I had like an hour lull between 2 appointments because somebody got done early, and so I'm sitting there, and you know how you go into a big hospital and they have like the big like 2-story section that's open up, and the big room, where they have the information desk and stuff, and so I'm sitting there and I'm watching people, and everybody had the mask on, of course, and so you're watching people, and it was. People were actually they were working so hard to avoid each other. They're not only keeping the 6-foot distance, but I mean they're even there were a couple people they would even like reach for their arm, and they were like pulling themselves to the side to reaching away from people. It was bizarre to watch people. I mean they were 10 foot from another person. But they were like, how far can I possibly get from this person up against another wall or something? And it was like watching a science fiction movie, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It was watching.
Afraid.
It was watching with fear and emotion. It was bizarre.
Yeah, I'm afraid that this is going to last. That people are going to, like turtles, go into their shells, when they see another human being. which is the exact opposite of what we need to have a sense of connection personally and a sense of community, which, any healthy country needs to have.
Right.
It's we really need to work against that tendency to recoil in fear.
Recoil. That's a good way to explain it. But I mean, like I said, it was like watching people, and it was just like watching fear in motion is what it was like watching. And it was like they were scared of other people.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was like watching a really, really bad B movie.
Right. A monster movie. All of a sudden, other people have become Godzilla or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's like, what's under that skin kind of deal. But
we're not living in a grade B horror movie, monster movie. We're living in a reality that we're creating, and it can become something like that if we don't watch out.
Well, it is. Well. And I'm the kind of person that when I'm out shopping and I see somebody, I'll glance towards somebody, and if I meet their eyes, I'll kind of smile and say hi to them, just because that's me, that's who I am. Mm-hmm. And then the first time I was out, I realized that my face was covered and they couldn't see I was smiling. Right? I thought, oh crap, irritating.
Yeah.
It's like, well, damn, okay, So then I would say hi. But and it's amazing when you do that. That people that appreciate that, they just light up. Their whole face. You can't see them smile, but their eyes just light up. They're like, "Hi!" They're like relieved to have interaction with another human being. Now some of them are, but other people are really happy to have that connection, because a lot of people miss that. They're missing having connection with other people. So like I said, some are going to recoil, and other people are excited to go, hi, a person. But
a person acknowledged me. I connected with somebody today. I feel more human and a sense of warmth from that. Yeah. I mean, what you're doing, you help that person, And when we help that person, we help ourselves, because we need connection. We need, I don't know how many connections we need in order to stay balanced, But we need a certain number every day.
I was reading that in your newsletter. I said, yes, I do that, and it works. It works. People really do appreciate that. Like I said, the ones that aren't going, But but you're going to get some of those. But other people really, really appreciate it, and it makes you feel good. So
it does. And I belong to the Heart Math Institute out here in California, and they do all kinds of research about our connections with other people and our connections with ourselves. And an act of appreciation or gratitude, whether we're appreciating nature or another person or, a beautiful sunset, whatever, we feel better. And what it does is it puts our bodies and our emotions in a state of coherence, which is good for our health, And they've measured all this. And they've also measured that if a person who is coherent and is feeling good about life goes into a room with people who are not so coherent, the coherent energy can help raise those other people up, to a higher level of coherence, just by proximity. And if you say hi to that person, you're making contact with that person, it's even stronger. Right. So what you're doing by saying hi to people is you're dispelling the darkness. You're affirming the light. And we can do that in person. And if we can't do that in person, as you said earlier, we have all these devices now that help us connect with people. We've got phones, we've got computers, we've got, Skype, Zoom, you name it. And how can we reach out? How can we bring greater light to our lives and the lives of those around us? I think that we need to make a concerted effort to affirm the light, every day. And the more we do that, the clouds will lift and, things will be better. People think more clearly and more creatively when they're in a state of coherence, which happens when we feel connected. So we're going to be better problem solvers when we're in a more connected state.
Well, and when we're out, and I mean, like my pharmacy has a drive-through, which is so convenient, and I feel so bad because the same girl is always in the drive-through, and anytime I go to pick up my stuff, and maybe it's just the day I do it because I'm only there once a month, and the poor girl, it's a never-ending stream of cars in that drive-through, and I always say hi to her, right, and she's like, nobody says hi to me. Nobody. They just pull up, give me their name, and then they say nothing. I said, really?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, how are you doing? She's, really? And she says, they did before I put the mask on. But once I put the mask on, I become like inhuman to people. Yeah. So yeah, we've had a good talk when I come in there. But that she's got a point though, because you put a mask on and you become more inhuman because you can't see the person.
Mhm. You bet. The nonverbals, and about 80% of our communication is nonverbal, according to the psychological research. So smiles, facial expressions, we can at least see their eyes, but otherwise, nonverbals are pretty much snuffed out. What struck me was that poor young woman who's there all day being treated like a function instead of a person. She might as well be a robot or a machine. She's just there to give them what they need. She's not there as a human being. And that depersonalizing, all day long, that must just wear her down. I'm sure she's delighted, feeling recharged when you come through. It doesn't take much. I was at the pharmacy, we don't have a drive-through, so last week, and there was a new woman there who, again, we were wearing our mask. I was checking out, and she made some comment about, my hat. I had this rain hat on that looks like a cowboy hat. It's waterproof. It's really great. And I said, oh, thank you. And she said, she said, well, this is a new job for me. I live up in the mountains, and our house was destroyed in the fire, and we lost everything. And I'm glad to have this job. And I looked at her, and I again, eye contact, with all this compassion and admiration for her for hanging in there and starting her new life and taking a new job and, trying to dig out of whatever dismal situation she had gotten into by the wildfires out here in California. And now when I go back to the pharmacy, I'm going to look for her because she's a friend. We've made a personal contact just by that one expression.
Right.
I know her as a person. I don't see her as a function. Here's my credit card. Give me my whatever I need. We need that, We're human beings. We're part of a larger community. We have a lot of differences and differences of opinion in this country, but underneath it all, we're all human beings, and we need to acknowledge each other.
Well, and it's so easy to just say hello to people, Yep. So. Yeah, and that's okay. Saying hello to somebody doesn't seem like it takes a lot of effort, but if people are into this recoiling away from people and, motivated by fear, maybe saying hello to them will wake them up to the fact that, hey, we're all human beings here, and we're going to get through this together. Well, and if people are starting to feel that, it would be good for them to start saying hello and start opening up to people. Keep your distance, keep social distancing, keep doing all that, but you can still say hello to people. Keep treating people like people they are.
Yeah.
Nobody says you can't say hello to people.
No, because to say hello to a person acknowledges their humanness.
Yes.
And to ignore them and recoil from them makes them into a Godzilla, a monster, creature from the Black Lagoon, contagion. We can do both. We don't have to completely renounce our, participation in community to stay safe. In fact, since being connected with a sense of coherence, saying hi, eye contact, that actually activates our immune system and the immune system of the other person. So it's going to make us stronger to resist the virus if we have that sense of love, which is, again, perfect love casts out fear. It's the only thing that's stronger than fear. If we affirm the light of love in our daily interactions, we're going to be doing something to combat the spread of the virus, as long as we do it with social distancing, with masks, washing our hands, etc. Those are the three things we're supposed to do. But I think number 4 is how do we keep our hope and our strength, our immune system up? And connecting is a way that we can do that. And we need to.
There you go.
Yep.
Is there anything else? I guess that's one of the biggest things I've seen that I think is really going to have long-term negative impacts on people and the areas as a whole. Is there anything else that you've seen that you can think of?
I think that we have, obviously, a pandemic. We've got COVID. But we also have an epidemic of fear in this country. Fear of contagion and fear of difference, Somebody has a different political point of view, so all of a sudden that person is, is Godzilla. Before COVID, I joined this group called Braver Angels, which is to try to get people from red and blue together to listen to each other. And now, of course, we have meetings on Zoom. But underneath our political differences, we have this common humanity. And to reach out and recognize that is going to build bridges instead of walls. And the bridges are built with hope, with love. The walls are built with fear. And fear is not really healthy for problem solving.
No.
We have very complex problems these days. I don't need to go into them, but personally and collectively, there are all kinds of challenges. And what research has found is that when we're in a state of fear, it puts us down to fight or flight, survival. And there's a certain tract in our brain which goes, from the cortex, visual cortex. We see something, we jump out of the way of it. We're in the forest and we see a twisted branch and it looks like a snake, so we jump out of the way of it. In that situation, our fear response, our reaction serves us well. But, because otherwise we might get snake bite or, whatever. But in a complex situation, to just react out of fear, the fear reaction shuts down the higher regions of our brain. It's where creativity, where long-range planning, where complex analytical thought resides. So that if we're just jumping away from each other out of fear, we are not we're not thinking clearly. So that what we can do for each other and for ourselves is to get, again, connected to something larger than ourselves, restore our faith in life and in humanity. And what that does is it helps our brains work better to solve complex problems. One example, there's a woman that I used to see at the gym when we went to the gym, whose politics were totally opposite from mine. And I thought, okay, there must be common ground here somewhere. So I, decided I would experiment and just greet her and listen to her. And what we did was we found that we were both concerned about the cost of prescription drugs. and about some prescription, some generic drugs that were imported from other countries that we weren't clear about whether they were safe or not. And I said, wow, we've got something in common. Okay, what can we do about this? They said, well, we both went to a town hall meeting on the phone with our congressional representative and pointed this out. She did it one meeting, and I did it the next time we met. And the next time we saw each other at the gym, we gave each other a big hug because we convinced our congressional rep to make a resolution in Congress to start investigating all of this. Just the two of us, crossing over, building a bridge, because we were concerned about the same issue, and we took action. And maybe that action is actually going to make things healthier for a whole lot of Americans, because we found that common ground. Because we weren't recoiling in, this person is in the opposite political party and I can't relate to her. It was like, no, this person is a human being, and we're here together. And, we've got more in common beneath the surface. So I'm thinking that fear and kind of animosity toward people who are different, that too can be broken down by just saying hi and by building connections. And now I actually miss my friend Marianne because I don't go to the gym, and we've sent each other little notes in the mail, but which is another thing we can do. We still have the postal service. I put a note on our mailbox telling our mail delivery person, we appreciate all the work you're doing.
I know.
Because they're working overtime. But we can send cards, we can send notes to each other, we can connect in all kinds of ways. And that's going to help us not only be healthier, but more effective in everything we do. We've got to get beyond that recoiling in fear reaction that you noticed, because that doesn't help us at all.
No. Nope, it doesn't help us and doesn't help anybody else either.
No, it spreads a contagion. Emotions are contagious. Have you ever walked into a room and felt, bad vibes? Oh, yeah. Okay. People don't need to say anything. You can feel it. And on the other hand, you can feel good vibes. And so our emotions are contagious. Our attitudes are contagious. When we change our attitude, we change the energies around us. And again, that's also been measured. So just the fear energy that you noticed, what can we do if we see people recoiling in fear? Say hi to them. Either they're going to run away, or they're going to notice, oh, gosh darn, we're all human beings after all.
Yeah, we are. Well, and we literally are all in this together. Yeah. I mean, we are. We're all facing the very same thing. I don't really understand why people don't get that, but they don't seem to. So I don't know. I really don't.
Oh. Well, if people are running on fear, they're taking what neuroscientist Joe Ledoux calls the low road, and they're just reacting. It's like they're jumping out of the way of what they think is a snake. They aren't thinking clearly. When people are stressed, they can't think clearly. So one of the best things we can do is to work on our own stress, which connecting with nature, with other people, meditating, listening to music, whatever it takes to put us into a more calm and coherent state, and then helping other people deal with their stress, because stress shuts down our ability to see beyond our own sense of survival. That's why they don't realize we're all in it together, because they're so scared. They're feeling like they've got to save themselves.
Well, and maybe think about what makes us feel safer, what makes us feel more relaxed, what makes us feel content? What makes us feel the opposite of fear? What makes us feel more positive? You know, what makes us feel good? You know, how can we distract ourselves? We can't. The thing is, we can't stop COVID. We can't. We don't have that power within ourselves. It's bigger than us. Okay?
Yes.
So, you know, if it's something I can't control, okay, and none of us can control it. We can do certain things to lessen the effects, and we've been told what that is, okay? But we can't stop it, okay? I personally think we can pay less attention to the media because I think the media is overdoing its job, and I think they're creating a whole lot more fear than they need to. But that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a lot more to say about that, but I'll be quiet.
So we need to recognize what makes us feel more stressed and what helps us relieve our stress. You know,
there you go.
What's the darkness? And you know, some of my friends have become news junkies, and they watch it in the morning first thing. They see it right before they go to bed. Imagine that they have bad dreams at night after having done that.
Yeah.
It puts their bodies in a stress state all day long.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's important to be an informed citizen, but to be a news junkie is you know, not good for our health. It puts us in chronic stress. So what stresses us and what heals us? What's the darkness? What's the light? You know, yin and yang. I mean, they're both with us, and we need to find a balance of the brightness. So what brings us joy? I mean, I like to play the piano. I like to go out in nature. I like to connect with people virtually now, and sometimes, you know, in the community wearing a mask. What is it that brings us a sense of joy? Some people find joy in baking. Apparently, there's so much baking going on in our country, you know, that it's hard to find yeast in the grocery stores.
Interesting.
Yeah, they are. They're making bread. They're feeling like they're creating something. And a lot of people are arts and crafts, you know, making things, knitting, you know, that rhythm, or needlepoint or something. Hobbies, creating is again, you know, some kind of affirmation. So to find what brings us light, what brings us joy and love and peace and a sense of harmony, and then to recognize what takes us away from that, and to do less of those stress-filled things and more of the light-filled things. And as we do that for ourselves, we're obviously making our own lives more balanced and harmonious. But since attitudes affect those people that we interact with, we're also helping heal the world around us just by dealing with our own stress.
Well, and when we find things that help us, share that with other people we know that are having a rough time.
You bet.
Yeah, because other people are having a hard time too.
Yeah. The fact is, when we're not recoiling out of fear, we can reach out to other people.
Yeah.
It's part of what makes us human, and it's part of what humanizes our world. And it's the missing link in the response, I think, to COVID. We've been thinking about physical things that we can do, you know, masks, wash hands, social distance. We need to be thinking about the what would you call this? The spiritual, emotional, stress management, you know, psychological thing that we can do to affirm greater health for ourselves and our planet.
Well, the whole human element. I mean, they're ignoring the human element of it. You know,
and if they ignore the human element of it, the other three don't work.
Yeah, well, they're so focused on the contagious element, they're not focusing on the human element. You know, and you know, the mental health element, the fact that you know, alcohol sales are through the roof. You know, there's a whole lot of problems coming out of this that just aren't being dealt with.
Yeah, because that human element is being ignored.
Exactly.
Because we're looking at, those three other things that we can do, and those are good things. But what happens, at least in California out here, is that people have missed the human element so much,
right,
that they are going to extremes. And they were getting together with their relatives for holiday dinners without masks, bringing people in from out of state, and causing, again, super spreader events, because they were so starved for that human element that they went after it and forgot the other three. So we need to balance those three physical things we can do with that human element that can help us stay centered and balanced and healthy and whole as human beings. And then we'll be able to survive and thrive.
Staying whole needs to be at the center of it.
Yep.
But
well, people can't listen if their stress reaction is so serious that they can't hear, they can't solve problems, they can't think clearly. So what's really good, however, is that the human element dispels stress.
True.
That, as you found in the drive-through pharmacy, that just reaching out, acknowledging that young woman, that helped her deal with her stress.
Yep.
And feel better and probably do her job better because she was then feeling coherent and whole and human instead of like a robot. So that we can make a difference in our own lives by reaching out to others with that human element. And that will make a difference in their lives. And maybe the people who are decision makers are making their decisions out of stress, and they aren't thinking clearly either. So somebody needs to get to them and remind them that we're all human and we're all in this together.
We are.
Yeah, as the Tao Te Ching says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. A single action can start a whole new momentum of positivity.
It can. Well, I'll tell you what. Would you like to let the listeners, who I hope the listeners have gotten some good ideas, and next time they go out, I think they should say hello to everybody they come across with their mask on.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll get in trouble.
To practice those three social, public health, and then the number 4 is the human element. How are they going to acknowledge their own humanity and the humanity of those around us?
There you go. Would you like to let them know how they can get more information about you?
Yes, I have a website, which is, I have 2 websites actually, DianeDreher.com, and that is spelled DIANE, DREHER.com. And I have another one that is NorthStarPersonalCoaching.com. And if you can think of the North Star as the guiding light that people used to navigate before we had compasses, that star, that light, and the light of your beautiful insights today can help guide us through this darkness of the pandemic into a much brighter world in 2021. So NorthStarPersonalCoaching.com.
Well, like I said, I hope that they got some good insights and some helpful things. And like I said, I read your newsletter and I said, this is just, I think this is a message that we all need to hear to start off the year. And see, I have to go to the pharmacy and see my friend and pick up my prescriptions for the month. And I'm definitely going to tell her that we both said hello.
Yes.
I'll say my friend Diane says hi. So,
you bet.
And she'll say, okay. Oh, gracious. All right, listeners. I hope you had a great New Year's, and I will be with you next time on Ready for Love Radio.